I'm Travis.
And I'm still Ethan.
And we're back for the second half of the first week of June.
Yep, okay. First up we have Earth 2, issue 2. What'd you think?
Super exciting issue! Introduction of new DC gay character! Woo!
I could have done without that part, actually.
You know what? That was the part of the book that wasn't very good.
Yep.
It felt not forced, it just felt like it was being laid on way too thick.
Uh-huh.
It was a really good sandwich with way too much mayonnaise.
Yes, it was just, look at all this gayness right here. All of you people,
no issue
all
with
the
that.
gay people in the comics, you can be appeased now, just look at it.
Right. And I think it's awesome that he's a gay character. I'm cool with them introducing whoever as being gay characters. That's great, because there's, plenty of gays in the world, so there needs to be more in their comic books. No argument with that whatsoever. I don't have an issue with the character they picked to do it with.
No.
That part of the writing wasn't as good.
It wasn't that good.
It wasn't that good.
It wasn't written well.
It felt like they were really laying on or if that's really how they are as a couple, I couldn't stand being around them. Because they're just too, and I just please.
Gonna puke.
Any rate, and it has nothing to do with them being gay.
Yeah, no.
If it would have been a guy and a girl, and it would have been that way, I would have been going, I am going to barf
You
now.
need to hide your love now.
Because this is just too.
Yeah.
Anyway, the rest of the book, though, I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
you know what?
It was good.
I don't like the way the new Flash costume looks.
I hate the stupid little lightning leg stripe thing.
Until I saw it in the comic book. I like it, though. Actually, in use when he's running along and stuff, it's cool looking. I think it's cool looking. I don't like it on the cover. But I like it.
Everything but the leg stripe. Just.
No, I thought it was fine. I like the costume.
I even
like the costume. I like his introduction.
Antenna. Yeah.
I like his introduction of him being a hero. How he
reacts to that.
To being Flash.
How he reacts, and I love it when he saves the people.
Yeah.
From the Apokalyptic.
The Apokalyptic. That's horrible.
That's the only
That's
thing
frightening.
That annoys me about this and a book that we'll talk about later, is that it feels like. I mean, yes, I get it. You're all paranoid about Apocalypse now because he did.
Well, it was huge.
I know it was huge, but it was huge for the other people too. I mean, for our Earth, Earth 1, Earth Prime, whatever you want to call it. But everybody's like, ooh, it's Apocalypse this. Oh, Apocalypse that. Oh. I mean, it's like, yes, but there are other things than Apocalypse.
But see, I disagree with you, because the difference between their Earth and Earth Prime is in Earth Prime they hit a few places they started to take over, and the heroes beat them back.
Yeah.
Whereas here, they basically won, and in a last-ditch effort, the premier heroes, everybody's hero of heroes, died trying to get rid of these people. There are still huge freaking holes.
Yeah.
Years and years later of where this place got devastated. I think it's much bigger. It's like me and you don't, other than historically, World War II isn't that significant to us.
Yes.
If it was 2 or 3 years after World War II, it would still be huge. It would be the biggest thing.
Yes, but it's 10 years.
I still think that for them it is that big, and they still got problems, obviously.
Yes, the Apocalypse.
Well, and you don't know what else is going to be around. And one of the main villains got away. He's still out there potentially.
The general.
Somewhere.
I mean, he killed Wonder Woman and he blew up Superman.
So I don't know. I can see reasonably living in fear of that.
But I like it when he saves the people and he talks, and I like the fact that after he's done that they couldn't hear what he was saying, because I was thinking, if he's going at super speed, are they really going to be able to understand him? Or is it just going to sound like
Yeah.
So, although I like the way that they did that, I like the way that he gets his name, I don't know, but I think I heard him say the word, and then I like the fact that they've cut that off.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if they'd said Flash, it would have been like,
yeah.
But
deliver that cheesy line.
Because it didn't, it was like, so that was cool.
Yeah.
The Mr. Terrific book, which we stopped getting because it just wasn't that good.
Right.
It must have linked into this shortly after issue 8, apparently.
Well,
and
issue 8 was the last issue. It ends with him being chucked into we don't know where.
Yeah. So, after he gets sucked up by, I'm assuming, whatever his quantum thingy was that he was working on, from what we saw, he gets thrown in to that reality, and we find out that the guy who was giving the memorial to the superheroes in the, no, the camera just went out of focus. It was weird.
Oh.
Okay, and then everything just got blurry. And though, not the point. The guy who's giving the memorial to the superheroes in the first book, isn't such a great guy at all.
He's super smart. He's the smartest guy in the world,
He's the smartest guy on the planet.
And he annihilates Mr. Terrific's T-spheres.
Until Mr. Terrific comes along. And he's worried that A, Mr. Terrific is going to throw him out of position, and B, Mr. Terrific isn't going to like what he's doing, which makes me think that maybe he isn't the best guy there is. I mean, he does just kind of electrocute Mr. Terrific.
Well, yeah, his answer to deal with Mr. Terrific is pretty hardcore, so.
It's just to fry him. That way he doesn't, I mean, not because he
Well, and Mr. Terrific doesn't know what's going on. He's popped into
alternate reality.
He pretty quickly realizes this is not his.
I almost think that guy, the guy who zapped him, might be Steppenwolf.
Oh.
I mean,
that's interesting.
He somehow knew that Mr. Terrific would go for his teeth spheres. He doesn't even know who Mr. Terrific is. But the first thing Mr. Terrific does is he shoots his teeth spheres at him. He's like, "Oh, I expected you would open with your teeth spheres, so I've already devised something." Well,
obviously, and his plan was to take him out because he could have shown up and been a nice guy, and might have been able to get rid of Mr. Terrific without being aggressive about it.
Exactly. So
it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm enjoying the heck out of the book.
Yeah, I like it.
It's got some cool stuff going on. Like I said, if you're hung up with this isn't my Earth 2 from the old Earth 2, then yeah, it's not a book for you. If you're just interested in reading a different story, cool stuff. I give it a really strong 3.
I give it a strong 3.
Okay. Next, we're going to talk about Green Arrow number 10.
Okay, not as bad. I didn't like, if this issue got stuck down the shredder, I probably would have been like, why? But compared to the other issues, and I actually read this issue all the way through. I didn't just kind of like, oh look, there's some stuff. I actually read all the way through. It was only okay, though. Basis is, there's this guy, and he does this therapeutical process, and he turns people into robots, so they can forget about their pains from the world, but still have happiness and joy and whatnot. So they lose their bad emotions, but they still hold on to their happiness, which, not necessarily the greatest. Green Arrow is kind of annoyed with that, and he feels like he's treating these people like dirt. So.
Because they're just robots.
Because they're just robots.
I didn't think it was a bad story.
I just think it could have been executed better.
Well, no, I don't even think it was executed poorly. It had nothing to do with Green Arrow. I thought it was an interesting story because Green Arrow really wasn't in it per se. I mean, he was in it, but what he was saying, what he was doing, didn't matter so much.
Not really.
It was more of a commentary on this condition and who has rights and who doesn't have rights and that sort of stuff. So that made it, to me, a somewhat interesting story. Artwork I thought was better because it was done by a different person, so it wasn't quite so busy. It wasn't so spastic. But yeah, there's nothing exciting about this book and whatnot. Unfortunately, I'm still going to be getting a few more issues before it ends.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's definitely the correct word here.
Yeah. So I think I'm getting clear up through the 0 issue of this because 0 issue is written by Judge Winnick, and we liked his Green Arrow. That's the Green Arrow that when we started reading comics again that you read to start with.
That Green Arrow was my
So I'm gonna get that at least and up till that. But yeah, as a whole, there was nothing cool about this that had to do with Green Arrow.
Not really, no.
Yeah. So
2.
Yep, 2. Not as bad as last.
Not a 0, not a 1.
But
2.
Still no reason to really pick it up.
Nope,
Yep.
not really.
Okay, what's
You won't be
next?
missing anything. Okay, Swamp Thing issue 10. What did you think?
I really like this book. I love the art in it. The art inside was
Amazing.
Francisco Francavilla. His dark,
Really creepy.
just adds to the flavor of it and whatnot. It's an extremely violent book.
Yes.
We're assuming that throughout the book, Swamp Thing is getting his head caved in
Yes, we don't
while
really.
he's laying in the swamp.
At the start of the book, you don't really know that it's Swamp Thing, but her, what's her face, his little brother, Anton, right?
No.
No, or her father, I mean, right?
Arcane, yeah.
Whoever Anton
Yeah.
Arcane
Yeah.
is in
Her,
relation
her
to
dad.
Her dad. Okay, her dad
I mean,
shows up.
it says that in the story. He's
dad is
sired lots
yeah.
of children, but none of them so special as
Her dad
as
has
Abigail.
risen up, and now he's coming to reclaim Abigail. And Swamp Thing, who is almost dead, has been put into the swamp to recuperate. But we don't know that yet. It starts out with her backstory about
that panel.
Yeah, there's this panel and she's this little baby
Got a
and
baby rattle.
she's got a baby rattle.
There's a fly
There's a fly.
lands.
There's a
Is it-
fly
the
lands.
camera
and she's
pulls
gone,
away.
and then pulls away, and then it's her mom sitting there going,
Well, she's like
dead.
a corpse.
She's a corpse.
Yeah,
She's got
she's like
flies
all
over her.
mummified
She's
and
a
whatnot.
green color. Because what happened is because she has a connection to the rot, she was just being a baby and playing
And took out mom.
with the dead in her mom's brain. So, and we know how that can go because we saw Seth, I think, that's her brother.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Seth pop what's-his-face's lungs out.
Yep.
So,
Cancer
because he smoked.
with the cancer.
So the little bit of cancer in there. Yeah, and then we see him bashing in whoever he was talking to's head, and then we have the whole part where they put Swamp Thing back in the swamp.
Lays him in the swamp,
right,
and,
so
he says, "I'm going to be incapacitated for quite a while.
So
You're
I'll
going to
be
be
able
okay."
to help you even if you need
Right.
me, and then
And as she's walking away, this other shadow
The-
figure comes up, and you realize it's him crushing.
and then the
Unmen.
men.
That's the
So
dead heads
these
twisted
dead,
around people.
Yeah, these dead guys show up along with her dad to reclaim
Attack her at the house.
That's pretty much where it ends.
Yeah. Wasn't
Wasn't
tons and tons of stuff happened in it.
exciting,
Well, explains Abigail
but
to us.
yes, we
Explain
had it
Abigail
all
to us, and it just
completely
looked,
explained,
it
and it looked
awesome.
really scary.
It looked really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
What would you rate this book?
4.
Yep, 4. It was awesome. Now I'm kicking myself for when we were at Emerson Comic-Con, not having Francesco do Swamp Thing instead of Batman.
Yeah,
So it may be a purchase down the road
yeah,
because it was really awesome looking.
really awesome.
Anyway, next we're going to talk about Stormwatch number 10.
I liked it. We find out it explains to us why Stormwatch is a secret organization. We found out that Stormwatch at one point was like, we don't need to be remained in secret. We can pop out and talk to these people
Right.
and
Try and be
come out,
neutral
right?
and
No,
Yeah.
it caused the 7 Years' War, the French and Indian War.
yeah, to try and clear it all up and whatnot.
So, to try and clear it all up, they give one of the sides a ton of these uber mental weapons that, make you into some super uber monster.
Yeah. Well, and then they historically wipe everybody's memories
Yeah,
so
and then,
no
they,
one
and
knows.
then they kill lots of people, they burn a lot of books, they rewrite some books, they take out a
Right.
dynasty and much, 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 much more,
Right.
so they can edit that entire thing out of history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. We find out the extent of Stormwatch's power, although I did not like the art for this book.
Really?
Really.
Well, I thought it was fine.
I didn't like the art. I didn't like especially the part where the sword guy, whatever his name is, I don't know.
The swordsman, right?
The swordsman.
Who
I
comes
guess
back.
it's the swordsman.
The guy who
Yes,
betrayed
the
him.
swordsman and that part. It looks weird. Suddenly his head grows to suddenly his head looks like a block and it fits on his shoulders.
Okay.
Here's his head.
Yeah, that was a little.
And
That was a
then-
little sloppy through there.
And then it gets normal size, and it's twice the size of what's her face's head. So that was weird. Otherwise, I was mostly fine with the art. We find out Midnighter's being very moody in this and hot-headed and what.
Not
Wait.
Midnighter.
Not Midnighter, Apollo. Sorry. Apollo is shaking his head and being all moody. And we find out why, because he has a problem with secrets because growing up with a crazy religious mom and a tough cop dad, he was gay, and it's not like he could really come out of the closet. So
now he's finally got this power and whatnot.
And he's come out of the closet, and then he has to go back to being secretive because he's in the Stormwatch.
Right. So he can't be loud and proud gay guy, and what are you going to do about it because I'm Apollo? Instead, he has to continue to be secret, so most people don't know who he is, and whatnot, and that upsets him a whole bunch.
Yeah.
I thought it was well written.
I thought it was really well written too. I liked it.
Yeah.
I just didn't like that art in that one part.
Oh right. Well, yeah, you're right. It was the art was inconsistent through that part of it. But I mean, as a whole, I liked the comic. I liked the fact that he was moody. I liked him saying something and Midnighter going, "Oh, but you said you were fine." And he's like, "Of course I wasn't fine."
Yeah.
Because of course he's been acting just like an idiot, all cranky and stuff.
He goes up and jumps and punches the giant electric monster in the face. Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was very well written. The getting more personality, more actual character out of the characters. Whereas it felt like when Peter Milligan was writing Justice League Dark, he never got there with that. The characters didn't really have character moments.
No, not really.
Whereas in this, every issue he's written of this, since he's been on Stormwatch, has had real character moments where there's a reason for us to go, oh, I can see this person as a person, and not just being, the flashy person. And I like that.
I like the part with, and we find out that Midnighter, I mean, we find out even more and more and more every issue that Midnighter's a badass. I mean, so the electric, he finds the little boxy thingy that's turning people into these monsters. Well, it turns this one archaeologist into this monster, right? And it sits there and it starts to zap him, and he resists it.
Yeah, he's mentally
with his
very
willpower.
Strong. Yeah, he's mentally very strong.
And then he's sitting there and he's being kind of fried because he's resisting it.
Right.
And Jenny shows up and Jenny could totally stop it. And Jenny's like, I'm not hearing you sorry. And he's like, I never apologize. Even though she's pretty much his only chance for survival and he's being electrocuted almost to death, kind of, by this boxy thingy. And Jenny still decides to save him.
Oh, yeah. Well, then she's just she's all casual. Oh, I just did this. Like, she's basically changing reality in some sense.
And it's out of reality. She's like, oh, yeah.
And really so Midnighter's like, oh, I really should have killed you when I had a chance.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting too. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good comic. I'm really enjoying the comic. It's just it's fun to read. It may not be gripping like, oh man, I need that next issue.
But it's still good. I like it. I'm
What would you rate it?
4. I give it 4.
I'm gonna give it a strong 3. 4 for me, it has to make me go, dang, I need that next issue. And it doesn't do that, but I really am enjoying all around. So, what's our last comic?
Finally, we have Huntress and Power Girl, World's Finest, issue 2.
I'm enjoying this book. I like the artwork in it. I like them going back and telling a little bit of past, a little bit of current. We don't know a whole lot about the bad guy that they're chasing down and whatnot. Yeah, I don't know that I have a whole lot to say about it. I mean, I thought it was fine.
I didn't. I just kind of thought it was boring. I mean, so they start out, they find the person who destroyed their world tunnel thingy, their reality tunnel, and then they go and they beat him up, and then they get beat up, and Hunter shoots them in the back of the head. Okay, side of the head.
So he runs off.
And so he runs off, and then they chase him, and then he shows up, and then they beat the crap, and then they get the crap beat out of them again. And so then Power Girl gets smacked again, and it's once again Huntress who has to save her. Just seemed kind of repetitive, and it didn't grip me at all. It wasn't like, oh no, this guy, he could destroy. I mean, even though he could, it just didn't seem that serious. It was just like, oh, well, let's go take out this guy. Okay, and then they just get beat up. And it's like, you think you'd have a better plan of attack afterwards, and she's sitting there, talking to him, And after he beat her up so badly the last time, when you have that advantage, I would think that even though you need to find out about your reality and why he destroyed their tumbler and whatnot, you can't really do that if you're dead, can you? So I thought that she'd be beating him up compared to sitting there going...
She was pounding on him.
She was.
She was pounding on him as she was talking to him. She was just punching him,
stopped.
punching him, punching him. She stopped because she gets nuked by him blasting her.
Yeah.
She doesn't like she pauses to get a sandwich or something. I mean, she's pounding on him, and he like finally gets his wits about him enough to zap her back.
Yeah.
And obviously, whatever power he has an effect on Kryptonians, or on her anyway. You know, so we'll find out exactly what happens. I think it's really interesting. I think it's going to be really hard to write this story from a we're fighting bad guys standpoint because, you know, Huntress is non-powered, you know, has some gadgets, fights really well, you know.
Yes, but when she fights guys like that nuclear guy.
And then there's, you know, it's the same issues that when you have Superman and Batman together. It's interesting how you figure out how to write a story that both of them work in. Because, I mean, you know, street level thugs is a joke to Superman and Power Girl. I mean, that's just, you know, I mean, they go and blow them all away, kind of a thing. So, I don't know. I don't dislike the book. I see what you're saying, though, that it's, that
and then
we're doing the same thing twice.
This is the other book with all the apocalypse stuff. Like, as they're fighting this guy, I mean, I know they're suspicious that
I think this is showing.
They already covered that. And then they're fighting him again for the second time. More of this repetition thing. As they're fighting him, he's swatting hundreds of arrows aside, and she's like, oh, you know, this guy fights like an apocalyptic soldier. No. So, I mean, yes, we already covered that we think he might be from Apocalypse.
So you're already tired of the whole Apocalypse thing and want nothing to do with that. You want them to tell a story that's got nothing to do with the Apocalypse.
Well, Apocalypse is okay. I wish that it wasn't all Apocalypse. I wish...
This is 2 issues, and you're saying it's all Apocalypse. 2 issues.
Yeah. All Apocalypse.
So it's supposed to just be done in 1 issue, and then they're supposed to go on and...
I just wish that the entire issue wasn't taken up by Apocalypse. I understand that they're working on Apocalypse stuff, but it seemed like, okay, well, this quantum tumbler thing, it seemed like they gave up very easily to me. It's like, we made this quantum tumbler, and obviously...
She didn't make it, that's the problem. It was a one-of-a-kind kind of a thing, and it was Holt's. It was Mr. Terrific's, and Mr. Terrific's doesn't exist anymore, so how are they going to get a new one built?
Okay.
And I think part of the story is Power Girl is obsessed with getting home and obsessed with anything that has to do with Apocalypse because that's what's going to get her home.
Yeah.
So that's why they're hitting it hard. Huntress is trying to say, hey, look, forget the whole Apocalypse thing. Let's just move on. It happens to be that when she is fighting this guy, she does think, this guy is fighting like them. So the story is implying this guy may have something to do with that. I think that's going to be a part of the ongoing story for them, is to try and get home. Or at least for Power Girl, she wants to go home. Huntress has figured out, this is where I'm stuck at. I'm going to deal with what I got here and do my thing. If a way home shows up, awesome. Obviously, she's going to take it to go home. But what does she have to go home to anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas Power Girl is still really hung up on that's what she wants to do. She has spent the last 5 years spending money on getting the stuff she needs to be able to go home. So that's going to be part of the story. So I guess don't read the book if that's something that bugs you.
Okay, so what would you rate it?
I'm just saying.
What'd you rate it?
I would give it a 3.
I give it a strong 2.
Yeah? Okay, well that's it for this week. We've got another week worth of books to read. So hopefully next weekend we'll crank out another review show.
Yep.
Anyway, have a good one.